Before you head out this Sunday, take a few minutes to watch this video. Something important is changing across many parts of the UK, and knowing about it could save you a lot of unnecessary stress, and possibly a big fine. This isn't a scare tactic or exaggeration. It's real, and it's already catching everyday people by surprise. Welcome back to Pensioners Corner, where we share practical updates and advice to help you navigate UK life safely and confidently. If you're new here, we talk about the things that can affect your daily routine, from pension updates to new public regulations that might impact your freedom to enjoy parks, beaches, and other community spaces. Today, we're looking at something called Public Spaces Protection Orders, also known as PSPOs. These rules are set by local councils to manage how public spaces are used. They're designed to keep communities pleasant and safe for everyone, but they can sometimes be confusing, especially when they change without much public awareness. And that's exactly what's happening this Sunday in several parts of the country. Some councils are updating or increasing enforcement of their PSPOs, which means activities that were fine last week might not be allowed anymore. So, in this video, we'll go through what PSPOs are, what activities are commonly restricted, how you can easily check your local area's rules, and what to do if you're ever approached by an enforcement officer. Let's start by understanding the basics. What is a PSPO? A Public Spaces Protection Order is a legal rule introduced under the Anti-Social Behavior, Crime, and Policing Act of 2014. The idea behind it is to allow councils to protect certain areas from behavior that could negatively affect people's enjoyment or safety. In principle, it's a good system. It helps prevent littering, antisocial gatherings, and other disturbances. However, over time, PSPOs have expanded to cover a wide range of everyday activities. Some of them are obvious, but others can easily catch people off guard. They include drinking alcohol in public spaces, bringing dogs into certain zones, lighting barbecues, or even feeding birds in busy areas. Depending on the council, these rules can change with the seasons or on specific dates, like this upcoming Sunday. The penalties for breaking a PSPO are serious. You could receive a fixed penalty notice, which usually ranges from around £100. If it goes unpaid or becomes a repeated issue, it can lead to court action and fines of up to £1,000 plus costs. Let's take a look at the activities that most commonly lead to PSPO fines, especially during weekends when public spaces are busiest. Number 1, dog control rules. If you're a dog owner, this one is very important. Many councils have PSPOs that set out where dogs can and cannot go, whether they must be on a lead, and of course the requirement to clean up after them. The tricky part is that these rules often change depending on the season. For example, a beach that welcomes dogs in spring might ban them in summer months when it gets crowded. That change can take effect on a specific Sunday, so someone who walks their dog there every weekend might not realize the restriction has started until it's too late. Always check local signs or council notices before taking your pet to public spaces. It takes seconds and could save you a fine. Number 2, alcohol in public areas. Many people enjoy a relaxed picnic with a glass of wine or beer on a Sunday afternoon, but depending on your location, that could technically be against local PSPO rules. Some councils completely ban alcohol in public spaces, while others restrict it only in town centers, near schools, or after certain hours. It's not about punishing responsible people. The goal is usually to prevent disorderly behavior, but enforcement can still apply to anyone, regardless of intent. If you plan to bring alcohol outdoors, it's worth double-checking whether it's allowed where you're going. Number 3, barbecues and open fires. Disposable barbecues and small fire pits have become popular for outdoor gatherings, but they've also been linked to safety and environmental concerns. Several councils have banned them under PSPOs due to the risk of grass fires and litter. Some areas have designated barbecue spots. Others don't allow them at all. Since many of these rules change seasonally, it's best to check council updates before lighting anything in public spaces. Number 4, vehicle access. Driving into parks or green areas, even just to drop off supplies or help a family member, can sometimes breach a PSPO. A lot of councils restrict vehicle access to protect grass areas or ensure safety for pedestrians. Most restrictions apply at specific times, often weekends when foot traffic is highest. If you're planning an event, such as a family picnic or car boot sale, always check your council's rules in advance. Number 5, feeding birds and wildlife. This one surprises many people. Feeding birds like pigeons, ducks, or seagulls can actually lead to fines in some areas. Councils argue that it attracts pests and causes cleanliness issues. If you enjoy taking the grandkids to feed ducks at the local pond, it's a good idea to look for signs first. Some councils have created designated wildlife feeding areas to make things easier, but not everywhere has them. Number 6, cycling or skating in restricted zones. Certain pedestrian areas, high streets, and parks have PSPOs that limit cycling or skateboarding or other wheeled activities during specific hours. These restrictions are usually about protecting pedestrians in crowded zones. Sunday tends to see more people outdoors, which means stricter enforcement. So if you cycle through your local park, just make sure it's permitted in the zone you're in. Now that we've gone over the most common rules, let's focus on what you can actually do to stay safe and avoid unnecessary fines. Step 1. Check your local council website. Every council must publish its PSPOs online. A quick search for Public Spaces Protection Order on your local council's website will usually show a map or list of affected areas. Look out for any updates or seasonal changes that start this weekend. If you're traveling to another town or seaside area, check that council site as well. PSPO rules vary widely, so never assume what's fine at home applies elsewhere. Step 2. Look for signs when you arrive. Councils are required to post visible signage where PSPOs apply. Take a quick moment when you arrive at a park, beach, or square to check the entrance signs. They usually mention specific restrictions, times, or penalties. A 30-second check could save you from an unnecessary fine. Step 3. Use council apps. Many councils now have free apps that include maps of restricted zones, current PSPO details, and even alerts for enforcement activity. It's worth downloading if you go out often, especially if you're exploring new areas. Step 4. Ask if unsure. If you're uncertain about what's allowed, simply ask. Park wardens, community officers, or even regular visitors often know the local rules. Most officers prefer to inform and educate people who genuinely didn't know. Acting aggressively or dismissively tends to lead to immediate penalties, so keeping things civil is always in your best interest. Now, what happens if you do receive a fixed penalty notice? You'll usually have between 14 and 28 days to pay or request a court hearing if you believe it was unfair. Never ignore it. That's the fastest way to make the situation worse. If you believe you were wrongly fined, gather any proof that supports your case, such as photos showing unclear signage, GPS location data, or witness statements. Several people across the UK have successfully appealed unfair fines this way. Councils must prove that the PSPO was properly displayed and that the restriction was clear at the time of the incident. Why PSPOs are controversial. Over the past few years, there's been growing debate about how fairly these orders are applied. Critics argue that PSPOs can sometimes penalize people for minor or harmless behavior, or disproportionately affect those who rely on public spaces the most, like families, young people, and the homeless. On the other hand, supporters point out that PSPOs help tackle real community problems, such as vandalism, aggressive behavior, and litter. Many families appreciate that they make local parks cleaner and safer. No matter which side of the debate you're on, one thing is clear. PSPOs exist, and they are enforceable. The best way to protect yourself is simply to stay informed. Real examples from around the UK. There have been plenty of recent cases where people were fined for things they didn't realize were restricted. For example, a family in Bournemouth was fined for using a disposable barbecue on the beach, a rule that had only recently changed for the summer months. In another case, a man in Manchester received a penalty for feeding pigeons in a city centre square. He wasn't aware the council had introduced a PSPO banning it just weeks earlier. These examples show that it's not about people intentionally breaking the rules, it's about rules not always being well publicized. How councils could improve communication. Clearer signs, more public awareness campaigns, and multilingual notices would go a long way toward helping residents understand new restrictions. But until those improvements are made, it's up to each of us to check before heading out. So before you leave home this weekend, take a minute to visit your local council website and look for PSPO updates. Check for any